Welcome to Engineer Versus Building a Resume. So this is part two. We're going to be looking at some examples and what makes a good resume. All right, let's get started and look at where we left off. Last time we looked at doing basically filling out a blank resume sheet. You can do that. You can start by using an example and filling in your own information. I like the blank, but it sometimes can leave a little bit to be desired. This time, hopefully, you've gotten all this figured out, and now you're looking to say, okay, I've got the skills, experience, and so on. Now we need to format it a little bit differently so it's not this blah kind of template that you might get out of Google Documents or Microsoft or another. So let's look at an example here. So this is Susan P. Fiction. So from the outset, it looks nice and organized and tight. Look at that. Got the same widths on both sides. You got these sections. Oh, that looks so coordinated and such. Well, this is nice up top, but once you start looking at it in here in summary of qualifications, it's a bit wordy. So what you should be doing here is instead of doing this, you should be stating what qualifications you have for the position that you're after. Instead of getting all of this and putting in this sentence here, so professional offering a solid background, okay. Supervision and operations management. That's what you should be saying. Supervision and operations management. Put that in bold here, put a colon, and then describe what it is. And don't just make it ambiguous. Put in something that's more specific about what you think that you can do for this position. Experience, so extensive experience. Well, what's extensive? You're actually probably going to list your experience down here in the professional experience portion. So you might want to just say experienced, or you might want to just say transportation and manufacturing industry experience, or something like that. And then list out what it is, or even get rid of this line completely. Solid leadership background says who? It's tough to prove leadership. People don't necessarily understand how leadership is quantified in a workplace. So stating that on a resume can be difficult. If you're led a team and you did so without conflict, hey, congratulations, you're a great leader. However, that's tough to prove on a resume. If you've led a team or you were part of a team, then you can go ahead and put something like that here. But in this particular sentence, eh, not really seeing it. So for this, you might want to just say improved, or you might want to have maintenance and production efficiencies, and then put that with a colon and then describe some of that. And again, we have two sentences here for one bullet point, and you're just trying to make this nice and solid and tight qualification. Too wordy on this particular resume. Comprehensive understanding, yada yada, same goes for these other sections. Oh, another thing is computer proficient. Congratulations. That's probably one of those things that you don't necessarily need to state in most office environments for a position, or even field environments for, say, engineering. Oftentimes that goes without saying. It's kind of like saying, yes, I know how to drive a car. Yes, I can walk down the street. You may have, some things that might be challenging for that. I'm not saying don't list that, but the idea is this isn't providing anything that's above the normal, and what your resume is stating what you're good at and what you're better at, especially with your competition. All right, now she dives into professional experience. And this is nice. It's nice, long, but it's still very, very wordy in here. So what Susan has here is, okay, I was a coordinator, manager. Great. So she did these two different jobs. Was it the same job, or did she have two different sections? If you were working at one position or one company and you had, a time where, say, you were 2 years as an operations manager and a year and a half as training coordinator, you might want to just split those into the two different sections and just say, okay, I was promoted, or I was doing one thing and then I got an opportunity to do another, or I was shifted over, or whatever it may be. But what's also nice in here is she has the company, she has the city and state, and you can even put the company website here as well. That'll let you know that it is an actual company. You can go look it up and see what it is and how big and so on. But she also has here is the years, and go ahead and put present here, but you put the month here. And then when your next job comes up, you can say, okay, I started in May 2001, ended in July of 2003. And then whenever you stopped in July 2003, you didn't get a job until, say, February 2004. That potential employer might see that gap and say, oh, we have a number of months here, over 6 months of what, unemployment? It's something for them to ask about. Be prepared to answer if they call you up or send you a note. Don't be dishonest about it. Tell them exactly what that gap might be. But here it's not clear. To me, it's kind of like, okay, you stopped in 2003 sometime and then you started in 2004 at this other job. Not clear. All right, so what you want to do is have a clear, consistent sort of stepping through. And if you take months off or whatever between jobs to, say, travel or do something else for a while, state that. State that as well. Also in here, we've got a bunch of wordy word, and percentages. So a bunch of buzzwords with percentages all over the place. Now these percentages are okay, but you want to have, 10% improved overall efficiency. How are you measuring that efficiency? Is it in kilowatt hours? Is it in operational efficiency? Is it in productivity efficiency? Those kinds of things. How are you measuring that? Then what's more effective is if you have numbers behind it, dollars numbers, kilowatt hours numbers, savings numbers, productivity numbers that you're increasing by, and what you can state is, an aggregated amount. So if you did something over a period of time, that's also going to matter more. So she starts to get into, okay, did a recapture of 120K in redundant stock and purchased 165K, um, and reduced inventory management time by 50%. You might want to also put, hey, how many hours? Inventory management time by 40 hours. And what does that mean? Which you can put in parentheses, which is 50% savings. Go ahead and do that. But to put those quantities in is going to be better than if you just state a percentage every time. Even if it might seem small, you might want to put that in and just state what it is. Why? Well, Google and big companies, they're looking to see these numbers. How much did you manage over a given project? How much did you save over a given period of time? They are going to want to know those items that you can articulate that in a sentence, not 3 sentences here or whatever it is. Make it bullet points, but make it nice and concise for each of your experiences. And even if it's an internship, state what the internship was, what you did, and what you were researching. And even though it wasn't implemented, for instance, list what your proposal was, what your insights were, and what you learned out of it. So if you research, say, how to increase water efficient or make better water efficient choices for a company or a site or an enterprise, whatever it might be, even though it might not be implemented because there's, say, some prohibitive costs, state what it is and that you found this even though it wasn't done yet. And we, say that we proposed it. And you can talk about that later during the phone call when they give you a call to go work. Another thing, Susan, is you have this education here and you have professional association. If you have one bullet point under education, consolidate it with your professional association down here. So you have the American Business Association, great. Consolidate that with your education. Put it as a separate bold point and call it, your professional association or whatever you want to call it, and say it's the American Business Association. What's also missing, Susan, is that you don't have any sort of dates or what you're doing for that. If you're a member, if you're an associate member, a student member, even if you're a leader, do you have a position? Are you on a board? Are you the secretary, the president? And go ahead and list some things that might not seem that important to you, but might be important overall. Say, you might be, say, like a fraternity or sorority. Go ahead and state what you've done with that group. Don't embellish it again, but state that you had some importance in dealing with that as well. Also with university, put your university down here, what your education is. State your degree as Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Arts, and then what the actual degree is here. Know what this is exactly. Okay, so if you have a Bachelor of Architectural Engineering, put Bachelor of Architectural Engineering, and then whenever they call up the school to see what it is and say, is this a Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Arts, like an architecture degree, then they can be explained by a university and educated to know that, hey, it's actually called a Bachelor of Business Administration. The other thing is on this, state where it's at, what the university is at. If you took it online or if you went to a branch campus, don't be afraid to state that. All right. The other thing, again, we have the year here. Please put in the month on that. So now that I've beaten up on this resume a while, I want to share. Oops, let's see if I can find it here. There's that one. The Better Resume from Joseph P. Fiction. Again, he's got the name up here. Doesn't have a website, but he has the phone number, the email, and then the address here. It looks pretty slick. The thing that whenever you're looking at this is nice because it's kind of gotten broken out with these spaces here. And that's where don't be afraid to add a little bit of space, a little between different sections and between different items. It makes it easier to read and your eyes can snap straight to each spot. So I can see that, you're an executive VP here and you're a VP here and you were director of international sales there. And this is in, again, reverse chronological order. So you can see, hey, there's steps here that this person was going from spot to spot, growing as they went. So overall, the professional summary is up here. This could use some work, but what's nice is that this professional summary has these areas of expertise. That's nice where you have sales and marketing growth. Bam, bam. Each one of these is kind of like a bullet point in itself, and it's consolidated. This does a better job here than this section altogether. Even though you know like French, German, and Japanese, that's great for you guy, but maybe you should put that down here in that sort of bulleted list or semi-bulleted list. And even if you have all of these skills and so on with years of experience, this is kind of distracting and could use a little bit of improvement. What's better is this, where you're stating what your job is and what you did. And the other thing that's going on is had a developed marketing plan with a $10 million sales objective. Bam. And then had $5 million within 17 months. Bam! That's nice. Also, you can see here when they started in May 2002 to present. So they're going and doing something for a committed period of time. And all this is listed as this professional experience. Now he says, okay, sales and marketing experience. That's fine. Maybe he has other experience in between. Maybe he has other business experience he doesn't want to list. Whatever it might be, that's optional. If you want to just put in professional experience, that's fine too. I'm used to seeing just professional experience and then anything else isn't listed, of course. Then down here, the education is moved to last. This particular point in this guy's career, essentially, he's saying, okay, I've got all this experience. My education started here. I do have a degree. I was trained at this university, at this location. And again, he's missing the dates in here. But could add the dates to each one of these for the MBA and for the Bachelor of Science in itself. So the other thing that he lists here is emphasis in business and marketing and then international business itself. Could do all of that and make sure that all that's listed with the dates there. So overall, this is pretty slick. And the other thing that's in here is a nice open spaces. And that allows people to take notes because if you think about it, if you're going to be actually doing this, you might actually think about the generation that you're talking to or sending this to. If they see this and they say, oh, this actually looks pretty good, they might start adding notes in, say, Adobe or in Word or in another program, or they might just print it out and start writing there. So if they call you in for an interview, they're going to be printing out your resume and taking that resume with them to a conference room and bringing you in or to a field office, those kinds of things. And they're going to be sitting there with a pen or pencil and they're going to be asking you about some of these experiences, your professional summary, your experience, and so on. If you have gaps in here, be prepared to understand what that means. And I think that's about it for what we have today.